I know this is our first time going on our first episode of CPTv. I just want to make sure through other means that we are actually on. Why don't you just while I'm checking this, I know that we had a big day in our house today with the Dominic setting off his, or you and Dominic setting off the first rocket launch. Why don't you just give everybody a little idea of how that went?
I guess I'll start by saying I'm glad I'm a physical therapist and I'm doing nothing with shooting objects up into space. So our son Dominic, he's 5. He was gifted a rocket launcher, your typical vinegar and baking soda rocket launcher. Had a few extra stickers and colorful designs, but we got it all put together. Didn't have any baking soda in the house, so we had to go make a special trip, grab that, get it all loaded up, follow the instructions to a T, and it resulted in the rocket exploding in my face. I'm covered in vinegar and baking soda. I think the kids enjoyed that more than the rocket actually going up in the air, but about the 4th attempt, we did get it about 20 feet off the ground, so that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I did post it to my personal page. I think my words, you were still a hero to Dom. I mean, all of your attempts at getting that rocket just to get in the air, it was very impressive. So great job with that. It does look like we at least are streaming live. So we'll get started. Joe and I, we purposefully did not really want to tell anybody we were doing this because it's our first time ever. We've definitely gone live before. We've been on Facebook with different varying sort of videos, but this is something new and something really excited. So happy Saturday or Sunday. Happy Sunday, everybody. We are coming to you from our first episode of CPTv. This is something that Joe and I have been talking about creating and doing for quite some time now, but obviously with 2 young kids and a business, things have sometimes been pushed to the side burner, but obviously with the times that we're in, we've had some more time to be creative and think about how we can give back to people who we've met, our past patients, our current patients, our friends and family, because Choice is coming up on our 5-year anniversary. And over these past 5 years, I mean, we've met some really cool, really smart professionals in their field. And we're hoping to use this platform to interview people, mind share, bring them on to have some discussions, and basically give back for some of the tips and tools that we were taught to all of you. So you can expect some series like this. Joe and I wanted to come on for the first one just to explain what we're going to be doing, some teasers as to who we're going to be having and interviewing in the future. But tonight's episode is basically a little look into Joe's brain and Joe's mind and on habits and different things that have gotten us to this point here. So, Joe, why don't you just give us a little background about what I might have left out about Choice PT, and then sort of where we came up with the name and how we got here.
Yeah. So, like Aaron said, we're coming up on 5 years. And when we first started, it was us and we were helping patients, and our son Dominic was, I think, 7 months old. And so, we went in and we're always in it for the patients, doing our best to just be the best physical therapists we can. Because of the incredible community in Troy and the surrounding areas, like Aaron mentioned, people started telling people. There was more patients to help, and we were very fortunate to be able to bring great team members on. I guess I got a little ahead of myself. When we were,
you jumped ahead. You jumped
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. That's what we get for a first episode. So before we open the doors, before we start helping these amazing people, trying to come up with a name. And so I think a lot of us, growing up, we have instilled in us, by our parents or someone we really look up to, certain choice phrases, and there it is. So it's really instilled in me, I guess. And so my dad always told us, hey, life is about choices. Life is about choices. Whether we were going out on a Friday night or we were heading to a baseball game, life is about choices. We felt that was really pertinent to what we wanted to create in a healthcare atmosphere, in a company. And we truly believe that people do have a ton of different choices in their life, certainly in physical therapy, but as Aaron alluded to with what we're trying to do here, a lot of choices in a lot of different regards to our life. So does that kind of answer it, Aaron? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when you said it, I'm like, I don't know. There's a cooling company around here that's called Choice Cooling. I will have to see if there's anything against that. But once I got more of the why behind it, and I was somebody who grew up as the daughter of my dad who owned a funeral home, and we always went with. So it was Sandwich Funeral Homes, and that was something that I just felt like we were going to do. It was going to be Napoleon physical therapy, and the more and more that we have come and sort of grown over the past 5 years, I think obviously Choice PT is something that it's something we say every day, if not multiple times a day. And I think I'm so glad that we sort of stuck with that. And it's definitely going to be here for a while. So, and that's part of even the CPTv. All right,
Definitely. Yeah.
logo. We hear the logo a lot. What is that? What, we know what it is, but give us a little background about the logo.
So shout out to my sister. We call her Aunt Bees. I don't know where the nickname came from, but so my sister Emily, she was in school, undergrad at RIT, and she's always been really creative. So we reached out to her. We said, "Hey, can you spec up a bunch of different logos?" And this is one that came to us in a different orientation. We then had some input from friends and family and flipped it over this way. And for us, what it means is, that yellow arrow pointing up and to the right signifies improvement, signifies things are getting better, things are on their way up. And so that was kind of the meaning behind why we chose that logo.
Yeah. Thanks for giving a little background. So, and we know that to some of you, you know who we are, but hopefully, with the way that this evolves, that possibly we will have some new listeners, some new viewers. Thank you for listening to stories over again. If we do sort of repeat them, obviously tonight our kids are in bed, and we were able to just sort of come on, just bring out this intro episode and give some background. But as we mentioned, we are coming up on our 5-year anniversary, and we just feel that most recently we're in a period of growth. And so this sort of brings us to where we made a major change in our company, probably 2 years ago, October, would you say, Joe, when we sort of just said, where are we going to go with this? We sort of got as far as we did. So we came up with some core values. And I think this has been something that's started something really special. And so maybe if you could, we'll talk about our core values, everybody.
Yeah. So, like Aaron mentioned, it was probably about 2 years ago now that we kind of sat down and we realized we had more and more team members joining us, more and more physical therapists. Just super fortunate to have a great team to help our amazing community of patients. What we realized was it was a completely different picture than June 15th, 2015, when it was just Aaron and I and 7-month-old Dominic. And just, it was a completely different thing. And so Aaron and I sat down at dinner, and I think it was at Bacchus, maybe, right, Aaron? I think. And yeah, and so we ordered a pizza, and we had a sheet of paper, and we each had a sheet of paper, and we said, "Hey, let's start listing out like what we really value. Like a patient comes in the door, like what's going to give them the best experience? What do we value in a great team member?" And we both filled up the sheet of paper, and then we just cross-referenced, like, all right, so what do we want? And we whittled it down. We then came back to our team. They did the same thing. And through everybody's collective efforts, we whittled it down to 4 core values that we share at Choice. And that is responsibility, contribution, compassion, and growth. So those were really the driving force. And we have different sayings behind each of the 4 that we use throughout our day. But those are really what we pride ourselves on. We use as decision-making tools. And yeah, it's just kind of the backbone. It's become the backbone of Choice Physical Therapy at this point.
I think it's funny you mentioned, and I'm trying to restrain myself because I love hearing everything, but I think of points that talk about when you're saying that you have several sayings, and your sayings become our sayings. And one of your sayings most recently is we're always striving to be 1% better every day. This is something that I'm hearing our PTs, our PCAs, our PCCs, anytime that they do something new, they're like 1% better every day, 1%. I learned that just today. I reached out to Kelly and I was talking with her, and she was like, man, I just had the insurance. So it's almost down. And then telehealth. What is telehealth? And I found both of us having an aha moment that it's new right now, but that will make us 1% better than we were yesterday. That now we know how to give telehealth back to our community. So there's several sayings or Joeisms. I wish I had Tom on right now. He could, sort of give some back there. But why don't you give a little bit more behind the 1% better? And you could even talk about maybe the 1% better machine that we have. Where did this all come from?
Yeah, so I'd love to call it a Joeism, but it's not. So I have some people like to collect shoes or hats, or I don't know. So I like to read a lot of books, and so this 1% better comes from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, and it's a really really great book. But he gets full credit for it, and in it he talks about the cycling team from Great Britain. And I guess I'm not a big cyclist. I don't know. We rode bikes today though. And
Yeah.
that was good. I guess Great Britain was not very good at cycling for a really, really long time. And in the book, he talks about how in about 2003, a new coach came in to take over these cyclists. And a lot of us think we need to make these huge monumental changes. We need to change a training routine. We need to completely switch something up. And what this coach did was he came in and started just looking at these really seemingly insignificant details. One of the examples was, hey, what if we took like rubbing alcohol and put them on the tires so there was more traction? Like, how would that work? What if we had a surgeon come in and teach our cyclists the best hand washing techniques so they would decrease their incidence of getting the common cold, and then they could train longer and more efficiently? What if we switched compression shorts? And so basically they just started like tweaking these very little things to get 1% better, 1% better. And then cumulatively that led to huge results. So this coach came in 2003. They had stunk for a long time from my understanding. In 2006, the Beijing Olympics, they crushed it and won a bunch of gold medals. They came back the next Olympics and crushed it again. So that's where 1% better comes from. It's not that you've got to go and change everything. We see this a lot with diet plans and workout plans. You don't have to change everything. You're better off making a tiny tweak to something right now, consistently doing that, and then move on to the next thing, tweak something else, and cumulatively it adds up to really cool things.
I love it. I love when we hear our kids even talk about how they're being 1% better. It's definitely coming a long way. I just wanted to say hi to a couple people who have commented here. Hi, Erica. Thank you for watching. And Kelly or Dad, thank you. I appreciate that. And Kim and Barry, I hope you guys are well. And same with you, Meg. One thing I wanted that I just thought would be sort of a cool sort of thing to do with our whoever our guest is going to be talking really briefly about a drink of choice, a little share that we have here. And so today I thought I would start first. One of my nightly favorite things to do around this time, especially when I'm sort of getting ready for bed or whatever, it's essentially a kind of this orange vanilla seltzer with ice, and it also has either fresh oranges or mandarin oranges in it. It's just something that I think is nice, refreshing right before bed, no calories. So this is just something that I thought I would share in case anybody's like, if they don't just want the water before bed, but throw a little fresh fruit into your seltzer. I think it's helpful. But little tidbit from me. And sorry, I did have I knew it was going to happen, a spelling error earlier on the Atomic Habits. So if anybody caught that, my fault. We are extremely new to this. to this. So, all right, well, thanks, Joe. I was giving you a little time to breathe there, but what are some habits that you do and you sort of follow? And define habits and what they mean to you.
So I I guess it's two parts. So I think before we jump into the habits, I think
Oh, sorry.
the under no, that's all right. So the understanding behind why some of this stuff can be really important, especially in a time like this.
Yeah.
So I think we had messed around with this before. I'm going to try it real quick again.
I don't know if you can see us well. Are we blurry? If anybody's watching, give me a thumbs up if we are clear. Um, or just like the screen or something. I can't tell on our end, or if it's blurry or whatever. So if you could give us some feedback on how it's looking on your end so we can know. I did we found a webcam, which was better than my computer. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Noelle. So it looks like we are clear. Okay, so Joe, yeah, if you have that, I'm going to.
I think it's up. You got it? Perfect. All right. So essentially, when we're in these types of situations, environments, basically this boils down to a couple different things. It's from another book. So Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. Two circles, right? So there's the circle of concern and there's the circle of influence. Circle of concern is the things that go on outside or around our lives that obviously cause a lot of concern, but we don't have a whole lot of direct control over them. Circle of influence are the things that we truly have a lot of influence over, and we have a lot of control over. And so the premise here is to appreciate that there are things out there that are concerning, and a lot of times for good reason, but to really reflect inward and figure out what those controls are, what those things are that we have a ton of influence over, and try to expand that circle of influence. Likely, you don't eliminate the circle of concern, but you really expand the circle of influence so you have a chance to take control back. So when we're talking about habits like that, that's what we're talking about, is trying to identify what areas, do I have control over? What areas can I, have a lot of influence over? And then how do I start to take control back and limit that circle of concern? I think we may have lost Aaron. So, Aaron, I don't know if your audio is hooked up.
Can you hear me?
There we go. There you are.
Sorry,
Yeah.
yeah, I went away when I shared the diagram. Hopefully that was okay.
Yeah. No, that's good. So basically, once we have that, like that's where those habits come from. And so then we start to look back, like, what do I want to accomplish by improving my habits? Is it I want to get closer with my family? Do I want to get closer with my friends? Is this for myself so I feel happier, so I feel better? Is it a financial thing? Is it a fitness goal? Those are really the big ones, that we hear a lot or we read about a lot. And so jumping back to atomic habits, the strategy you would use then is a habit stack. You want me to keep rolling, Air, or do you have
Yeah, go for it.
questions about that? All right.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to, so we're physical therapists, right? So the fitness thing is perfect. Fitness, injury prevention. So I can give you a story. Right, busy. So I played sports all the way through college, and then life came, right? So I'm a physical therapist, and then we opened this business almost 5 years ago. We have 2 kids. There's more and more things going on. And so I just did not have time to go to the gym. That sounds a little self-limiting, right? I didn't make time to go to the gym. There were other things that I prioritized ahead of going to the gym. But as a physical therapist, I know that fitness is super important. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to start to just do kettlebell workouts. And
Mm.
so I'm doing these kettlebell workouts and really probably not following my own advice too well. And I didn't really warm up. One day, so I picked the kettlebell up and ooh, my back, and just a muscle pull. But right there, like, yes, I made a habit, but like I tell everybody else, like, warm up, just do a little warm up. We call it, and we won't get into it now, but like, it's like your gas light. Like, you wouldn't jump in your car and go for a car trip if your gas light was on, at least not a long car trip. The gas light is your indicator to say, hey, just stop and fill up with gas. With these fitness routines, it's the same thing. We tell people when they finish their rehab program, like, you have a gas light. You should check this before your workout. Some days your gas light's going to come on. You don't need a new car. You don't need a mechanic. You should just stop and fill up with gas. So right there, what I started that habit probably 2 years ago now, before any workout, I have to be able to touch my toes. If I can touch my toes before the workout, I significantly reduce my risk of injury because of factors that, we probably won't talk about right now. But I just wasn't doing that. Like, I had no movement check. I was just like, hey, I've got a half an hour. I'm going to get into my workout and I'm going to do it. So right there's an example of setting up your day, setting up your workout. I want to improve my injury resilience so I can continue to work out. So what am I going to do? I'm going to touch my toes. If I can't touch my toes before going into a workout, I won't work out yet. I'll do a series of a couple exercises that I've figured out are best for my body to loosen my back up, to loosen my hips up, so that I'm less likely to get hurt going forward. So for about the last 2 years, I've done this exercise and I've touched my toes beforehand every day.
I can attest to this. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Joe. I know I am personally in a funk of all funks, and I am saying it loud and proud. Hopefully, somebody, something, any dear lords will make me sort of get out of this funk. But today might have been the day. Joe and the kids and I, we went up and we did a whole family workout. And sure enough, Joe said, "All right, Eric, let me see you touch your toes." I got to 2 inches below my kneecaps. I mean, couldn't, and I just, in my self-limiting belief, my legs are longer than my hands, so it's not my fault. But it's something that Joe sort of taught me, which he does every day, but he taught me these movements to do. So I did 25 hip hinges to the wall, and then I tried to touch. I got to about 2 inches from my ankles this time, which was awesome. And didn't do anything to my hamstrings. So moral of the story is I did another set of 25 and I could touch my toes. So I think that there's so much value in knowing some of these things, but also then trying to sort of use them in a routine. So I'm going to put myself out there that I'm looking forward to getting some sort of accountability partner or some sort of workout that speaks to me to sort of get back on track. But unlike Joe, like, we're the yin and yang. I don't have any very effective long-term habits that I follow, but luckily he does them for me right about now.
You have plenty.
No, I don't know about that. All right. So, do you want to go over any other specific habits? Might be like a journal or anything like that that you do. Because I remember one day we got a box from Amazon, which, if you're at Choice, you know that this happens often. It was a very heavy box, and Joe was like, "Yes, it's in," and I had no clue what it was. So, go ahead. What was it, Joe?
Sure. So it was, and I forget who kind of turned me onto it. It might have been Griffin, actually. But so Griffin's one of our colleagues, one of our teammates at Choice. And so the 5-minute journal. And so it's basically a bunch of researchers, really smart people, kind of look through all this research, and mindset ends up being a really key role in just living life and feeling better and those types of things, and managing stress. And so they came up with the 5-minute journal, and it is 3 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes at night. You kind of answer quick questions, and it focuses you throughout the day, and then kind of shuts you down at night. And so I think, were running a sale or something. I'm not sure. But anyways, it really positively impacted me. And then I was talking to other people, both close by and far away, that were using it, and same results. So, yep, I bought a box of them, and they have served to be great gifts for people. Yeah, just kind of a thing that's helped me, especially manage stress. So as physical therapists, we It's in the name, right? Physical therapists. So in school, they teach you, like, if something's tight, you stretch it out. If something's weak, you strengthen it up. When we get out, we've learned, the mind and the nervous system and the brain play a huge part in how we move and how we feel throughout the day. And mental stress, emotional stress, whatever it might, stress in general has physical repercussions for the body. And so if you imagine walking around a corner and someone jumps out and spooks you and you kind of go into protective mode, like, that's a physical response. No one touched you, you just got spooked. And that's your fight or flight response ramping up. Um, it's your sympathetic nervous system. And so when that happens, increased muscle tension occurs. That same thing happens all the time. I can't tell you the number of people with neck pain that I've treated that tell me, well, I just carry my stress in my neck and my shoulders. And really what it means is, we just breathe through our shoulders because we're stuck in this kind of fight or flight response. So that's really where some of this is. We talked about, as life gets busier, sometimes that also comes with increased stress. And so the 5-minute journal for me was a way to kind of shut my mind off a little bit, help to handle that and go from there.
Awesome. Really, I mean, there's so many points and take homes. I'm just going to list a few of them here on the ticker below. I think that there are so many little things that we can look at to be positive in our daily lives, our weekly lives, with everything that is going on. We all have had either our careers or our family life. So many things have sort of been literally tipped upside down and poured out. So I think that knowing that you can still improve during this time is so important. And we always talk about at work and at home that just because there's some change that's going on, don't let that all fall to the wayside. Don't just say all this work that we've been working hard for, let it just go out the window because we are going through a pandemic or we're going through a hard time. It just doesn't have to be this current issue. It's all look back over your past 5-10 years. What major things have happened, and then have you still tried to strive to be 1% better, or did you say, no, that was a tough time in my life, I just gave up? And all, it's so easy to do that, but we have to rally behind everybody, or rally behind your support circle, rally behind your people to say, we can move on beyond what's going on to still be 1% better every day. Um, Definitely the next thing is finding some habits. So if you are like Joe and you have a few where you sort of hit these few things, whether it's nutrition or hydration or mindfulness or exercise or socializing, or if there are a few things that you already do well with, then write those down. They will be, write those down knowing that you've already done that, and see what areas of your life that maybe you've missed and that maybe you could add into it. If you're someone like me who you are all over the place and you try different things here and there, that's okay too. I would give you the same advice that I'm giving myself. Write down those same things: fitness, nutrition, social life, mindfulness, prayer, faith, family, and see if you can put a few sort of specific and measurable habits into those categories that you can start doing. And Joe, how many days does it take before it becomes a real thing? Is it 28 or?
There's some controversy on that, but it's a number. Yeah, you got to do it more than two. Definitely more than two. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that, basically it's something that it's true though. You just try to write down either where you want to be or where you don't want to be, or where you want to be in the future.
So
Um,
here's the call to action, right? So
yeah.
remember, right, the Great Britain cycling team, like, don't, like, definitely list out, like Aaron's saying, where you want to go, like what you want to improve, but just pick one. Pick one, and pick one that's small, and just get one win. And use so Atomic Habits, right? We talked about it already. They use the habit stack, right? So habit stack, find something that you want to do. Hey, you want to get more consistent flossing your teeth? Do you brush your teeth? Yeah. All right. So you're going to floss right before you brush. Do you want to hydrate more consistently? when you wake up in the morning, do you make a cup of coffee? Perfect. While it's brewing, you got to drink a
Water
cup of
for your coffee.
glass of water before you do. So find the things you're already doing, because everybody already has habits. So find your habits, give yourself credit for it. Now just take that little habit that you think is going to get you 1% better and piggyback it on what you're already doing, and just focus on one and then build from there.
I think it's important to tell somebody the one thing you're focusing on too. Don't keep it inside, because then nobody knows that you're working on it. So to tell Joe, or to tell your partner, your best friend, or your kid, or your colleague, I remember, so for Lent, which is almost up, I gave up pasta and bread. And this is something I've done several years. It's my two favorite things in the world. And I went to a brunch with a bunch of ladies a couple weeks ago. It was the first week right after Ash Wednesday. And sure enough, there was a whole buffet. The first thing were warm rolls. The second thing was a cold pasta salad. The third thing was a rigatoni, my favorite. I mean, it was just literally saying, Erin, go here. And my colleague, Sarah, she was right next to me. She goes, whoa, now there's a test for you. Luckily, she knew that I gave that up for Lent. So I was like, huh. And some people don't need that, but I found it certainly helpful. I skipped by those first three trays, went right to the salad, went right to the chicken marsala, whatever it was. So I think that share these habits, or share these things that you want to improve upon to become 1% better with somebody. It'll definitely help you become more accountable. And the last thing there is mindset. So I think that not only the two other things that we mentioned, if you can document this, if you can some sort of blog it, write it down, I think that keeps you in a frame of mind where you know you're improving, so that you can look back at to weeks where you might have been in a slump, and basically be able to just maintain that positive mindset. And if something is going not in the direction you want to, you can sort of look back and sort of document maybe why that happened. Anything to add to those sort of take homes, Joe?
No, I think it's great.
All right.
Tiny
Well,
things.
I thought that, obviously, as I said in the beginning, we didn't want to tell anybody we were doing this, just in case it was a major flop. So thank you so much to everybody who is looking and listening. Please post some habits that you are already doing, because I think it's, what do you always want to be like somebody who's either in a similar sort of lifestyle, or maybe in one that you're looking to be in. So if anybody in the comments here has any habits that they are doing that are easy, and that make themselves feel 1% better, go ahead and put them in there, because that's really something that I work off of. And we are going to come on again next week. We have an awesome, awesome, awesome first guest. Her name is Erica Latham. She is talented in many ways. She's going to be talking to us basically a lot about stress and anxiety, and ways to cope with everything that is going on in the current day with the pandemic and with all the changes that we've been going through. She has an amazing blog. If you want, or I'm sorry, not a blog, a podcast. So she has an amazing podcast that you can listen to before we have her come on. It's called Not Another Anxiety Show. And the most recent episode was about how to actually speak with your children about this current virus and everything that is happening around us, and how to better navigate it with our loved ones and our family members. So I'm going to write her name down here. Joe, I'll have you talk so I can get this in. Just some sort of finalizing thoughts here.
Yeah, I think, again, thank you everybody for jumping on and listening. We're super excited for this. And again, we are physical therapists. We feel like, as physical therapists, we always, it's our goal to put the person before the patient. And that's really where this comes from, is we pride ourselves on building relationships with people, not just helping patients. That kind of is a they go hand in hand for us. And so that's what we hope, that's kind of what we are wishing for this to be, is just leveraging our awesome community of professionals that we have to give other people just a kind of a platform to share really great information. And like we said, each of us getting 1% better every day results in big cool things happening. So
yeah, thank you guys so much. We will see you next time with Erica. So tune in. Maybe if we get some of the logistics down a little bit better, we'll give you a little, what's it called? I get it. Something losing my thought. Or
Preview?
preview, yeah. Or we're gonna let
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah.
when we're doing it. So we'll let you know when we're coming on, so we don't just sort of show up in your news feed. But that worked out well as well. So if you have any other suggestions on things you'd like to hear, some ideas that we have is we have a personal finance pro, a health and fitness, a nutritionist, proper footwear, obviously stress and anxiety coach. So we have several people and professions that we are going to be interviewing and having mind shares with. So we don't think anything is sort of too silly or off limits. So if you have anything that you just comment below or just shoot us a message, we're going to cover all things on this. So not nearly just PT, probably not much PT at all. Um,
Here and there, a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, a little bit. That's what we went to school for. But all right, everybody, have a great night. Have an awesome week. And if you can, be 1% better this week. Bye bye.